So before I start this video, I wanted to say thank you to like all of my new subscribers. I think like when I posted my last video, I don't remember, I think I had like 20 something, maybe even less than that, which like I appreciate those subscribers as well, but like now it's like over 100 and it's really cool. So thank you for all the support on my latest sketchbook tour, and hopefully you guys stick around and you like the content that I'm making. I said this in a couple of other videos, but I post pretty irregularly since I'm in grad school. And by the way, I'm in grad school for art therapy and clinical counseling. So I do get some time to do art, but usually it's for classes. And I don't have a lot of free time to work on stuff right now, but I try to fit it in when I can because I love art and it's like my favorite thing to do. So yeah, just wanted to throw that out there, but I'm going to try to start posting a little bit more consistently. It just takes such a long time to edit, and so like as I'm recording this right now, I just started editing the video that you're watching right now. So I don't know how long it'll take me until it's done. But yeah, thank you for all the love on my most recent sketchbook tour. I'm so thankful, and I hope you like this video too. It's going to be a little different, but I think it'll be fun. So as for the process of the painting, I started with a wood panel, pretty basic, and then I just, I love to use this color. I don't know what the color is. I don't have it in front of me, but it's kind of similar to like a burnt sienna. I know it's not the exact same, but it's just like a dark brown color. But I love using this for my oil pieces because I can kind of use it to like map out the shading and figure out the shading beforehand. I know there's a word for it, but I forgot. But it's like the technique also used in oil painting where you do like a monotone painting. It's just like black and white or black and gray and white, just to sort out like the values of the portrait or the painting that you're doing, and then you go back with color on top. So that's kind of what I'm doing here, just with acrylic and brown paint. I'm just mapping out where the shadows are to kind of get a feel of it before I go in with acrylic and then later oil. And so I really like doing this. I have mixed feelings about how I did it first before I did like a background color, but I think it worked out in the end. And so yeah, that's what I'm doing here. I'm just shading and mapping out where those values are. So if you're confused about the title of this video, so I actually entered this painting into Slew's art contest. So if you don't know who Slew is, he's an art YouTuber. He makes pretty great art, and I think I just like stumbled across his video about the art contest, or I think I found out about it from like another YouTuber's video. They were making a portrait for the contest, and I was like, you know what? I'm already working on this one. I might as well submit it for that. So if I remember correctly, the prompt for the art contest was to do a self-portrait, and I think it was also a still life. So you had to include some kind of object or be holding something or some kind of like still life object within the self-portrait. And so I just happened to be doing the self-portrait with me holding the Sharpie. So I thought it would be a perfect opportunity to put it into the contest to see what happened. I've recorded this like so many times and I can't, like, it's hard for me to speak to a camera sometimes. I'm just like, anyway, I just wanted to put myself in here before the next little part that I'll be talking about, because I'm just going to be talking about like the inspiration for the painting and like the topic that it's about. And I kind of just like jump into talking about it. So it sounded kind of confusing when I was listening back to it. So the next part is just my inspiration and my thoughts about like revealing the meaning behind paintings and stuff like that. Okay, see you in like a month. Just kidding, I'll do it. I'm editing right now, it's fine. It'll come out soon, okay? It's fine. some artists, I totally understand, like, they don't want to talk about, like, the meaning behind their paintings, because it's like, I do believe that, like, art should be able to stand alone, without any context. Like, it should be interesting enough for you to want to know the context, and but I also think context can be, like, a really powerful thing, and it can change the artwork, or just give it, like, the context that it needs to be more powerful or impactful or whatever. So I thought about, like, if I should share what the inspiration is behind this painting, but it's pretty personal to me, and I think I'm still pretty early in my art career that a lot of my artwork is going to be about this topic that I'm going to talk about. So I think it's important for me to explain what it's about if you're interested, and if you're not interested, then you can just put me on mute and watch me paint. You don't have to know what it's about, but it's important to me, so I think it'll be interesting to talk about. And I love, once again, I take lots of inspiration from what I see other YouTubers doing, other art YouTubers. Like, I love watching people's process, and I love hearing them talk about their inspiration. So, without further ado, I kind of had an idea and inspiration going into this painting, and kind of like most of the artwork I ever do, it changed and evolved throughout the process, just because, like, the way that I paint and the product tends to evolve, and it usually doesn't ever look like exactly what I was imagining in my head. So sometimes the meaning and the symbols and stuff like that can change while I'm working on a piece, which I think is really fun. But I kind of went into this knowing kind of the topics that I wanted to address. So I have OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. I've been diagnosed for a while. I started having symptoms of it back in elementary school, and I probably won't get into too many details about that, but I think it's important for the context of the piece. And so, like, because of my mental health struggles that I've gone through, not just with OCD, but like anxiety and depression and stuff like that, it got me into the field that I'm in right now. So I'm getting my master's degree in art therapy and clinical counseling. I think I mentioned that before. And my own mental health journey, like I said, has inspired a lot of that, has inspired me to, like, take that career path. And so I've always tried to, like, I think I have successfully depicted, like, some of my mental health struggles in some of my self-portraits and my artwork. But I've always wanted to do, like, a piece dedicated to my OCD. And sometimes the things, at least I found personally, sometimes the topics that are, like, most important to me, and, like, the ones that are so personal and, like, wrapped in my identity, sometimes those are the pieces that are really hard to make art about for me, especially when I'm, like, still dealing with them. So it's easier for me to make art about stuff that has already happened, because it's in the past, and it's more like me processing what has happened through the piece. But it's more difficult sometimes to make art about what you're still going through. But it's also fun. Like, that's why I love art and art therapy, because it's very therapeutic to me. But yeah, so I guess the inspiration going into this was me wanting to make an art piece kind of about my OCD, kind of like an ode to it. I'm sure there will be more pieces about my mental health in the future. That's kind of what a lot of my art is based on. But yeah, that was kind of my idea going into this piece. And I didn't know exactly what everything meant, which I think is kind of a fun part of my process specifically. For other people, it might seem, like, chaotic and overwhelming, which I totally get that too. Like, I don't always go into a piece knowing exactly why I choose the things that I choose to paint. So, like, why did I take a selfie with, like, a Sharpie? I'm not really sure. Like, but I just loved the way that, like, the 0.5 looked, like, the 0.5 perspective. I loved the way that looked. It kind of, it gives me a feeling of, like, out of body and just, like, kind of, like, funky. Like, I like that kind of, I feel like I've been exploring that kind of mood in my art for, like, the last few years. Even when I was in, like, undergrad for art school, I feel like I started to explore, like, dissociation and, like, escapism and kind of feeling, like, otherworldly. I don't know how else to explain that. Like, I take inspiration from, like, Alice in Wonderland and, like, almost, like, scary, creepy things, but, like, otherworldly and, like, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to explain. It's hard to pinpoint exactly. I mean, surrealism is, like, I love surrealism. I take lots of inspiration from that. I wouldn't say this piece is necessarily surrealism. I mean, the background ends up being pretty chaotic, like it's not realistic. So I don't know, I don't really know if that would classify as that, but like the idea of surrealism and just kind of like realism with a twist is kind of, that's something I've always been interested in, especially in the last few years in my artwork. And so yeah, like if someone were to ask me like why I use the Sharpie, I'm not really sure. It just felt like the energy that I was trying to depict. The piece was inspired by me trying to explore my OCD and like what that means to my identity and to me. You know, I think it's also about me like looking for forms of escapism from my mental health. So, you know, partaking in illegal substances as a form of escapism or to be more connected to my creativity. So it was kind of that tied into like my identity with OCD as well. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's kind of the vibe that I was going for. And I like how it turned out in the end. And I feel like that happens a lot with my pieces, where once I see the final product, once I know what it looks like, the meaning kind of just comes to me and it's like, oh, that makes sense. Like I can make meaning out of what I made. And it's not necessarily what I thought it would be when I started. So I'll probably talk about that more later when the piece is finished. But that was kind of my idea going into it, just an ode to my OCD and like the chaotic feelings that come with it. Where it's like I am using a Sharpie for my eyeliner because my brain is not normal and it's just like weird and funky, and like there's good things about it, but there's also really horrible things about struggling with mental health issues. And yeah, that's the best way I can explain it right now. I want to talk about the background of this painting. As you can see here, I kind of added a bunch of random things. So as I talked about earlier in the video, This painting is about my OCD, and I kind of wanted it to be like an ode to my OCD. And so I think this is kind of just like a visualization of how I'm struggling to like depict that, or I'm just kind of brainstorming like how I want to depict mental illness and OCD and stuff like that. And so like part of my specific OCD is I do lots of like tapping and counting. So like I try to make things feel like even, or if you Google, I think it's called like just right, obsessive compulsive disorder. And so I have those types of symptoms where I want things to like feel right. And so I thought numbers is something that really relates to my OCD, and just like repeating numbers and kind of like obsessing over things. So that was kind of the idea behind adding all the numbers in the background and kind of just like phrases and things that pop into my head. I don't know, I wanted it to feel chaotic, which I think I did a good job of doing. Spoiler alert, the background kind of changes completely. It doesn't end up looking like this in the end. I think some parts of this like peek through at the end, but it looks very different. You can also see in the video that I'm starting to move into oils now. So I did the whole base of acrylic paint, and you'll see once I start adding the oils, it's so much more creamy, and like the blending is just so much smoother and it's so much easier, and like that's really why I love oils. But it was nice to have kind of that acrylic base. I think I said this earlier, but I think I did kind of like fuss with the colors too much with the acrylic base, because I end up basically covering all of it. Like it's good to have the base there so that if it peeks through, it's okay because it has the acrylic base and stuff. But I think I did mess with the colors a little too much just because I end up covering them up with oil. So I think it worked out fine in the end. Like I'd rather do more and then cover it than like not do enough. But that's just something that I noticed while I'm looking back at this process. I'm like, I spent a lot of time on those colors and I'm covering them right up, which is fine. But yeah, so oil is like, it's my favorite part of the painting process. Like I said, they just blend so much better than acrylics. And I know there's acrylic lovers out there. I'm not trying to hate on acrylics, okay? I do love acrylic paints. You can definitely blend well with acrylics if you know how to. I just find oils more satisfying and they don't dry nearly as fast, so I just love them ever since I've tried them. I don't remember when. I know I tried them sometime in college and I've been obsessed ever since. They're awesome. I like being able to look back and kind of watch my process, because I don't always get the opportunity to do that if I don't film it for a video. So I'm noticing that my process with oil paints is kind of to lay on the general colors in the general areas. And I know this isn't just my technique, I know other artists do this too. But it helps a lot. So you lay the colors kind of where they go in the right spot, and then you kind of go back in with, I've seen some people use like a fluffy brush or a different brush. I think I'm just using the same one that I've been using. But I go back in and kind of blend those out, and it makes it look really smooth, really realistic. I think at this point it's so smooth that it's not realistic yet. But I go back in and add stuff to make it look a little better. But I think it provides like a great smooth base. And just the blending is just so beautiful. I just love oil paint.
like a designer dog, I guess is my thing. It looks like a golden doodle.
He is a golden doodle.
Yeah.
But in his defense, I got him on Craigslist, so not really.
Well, I would love to go on another date, but I don't think he's gonna want to.
What? Why?
Because I don't know. I just don't. Michaela, how do you think this is going?
This looks like borderline pointillism. Like, if you look up close, you can
might
see
be too
every
big,
little dot.
but-
Like, you see all the variation and like
I think it will be too
dot,
big.
dot, dot. I've really absorbed a lot of beautiful artwork, and I think I've got some good nuggets here.
And it's so worthy of being seen and being heard and being listened and being read.
I need a skinnier brush. Like this is not, I'm shaking. This is not skinny enough. I literally need like a hair for the detail that I want, but I don't know if I am. Okay, might have to use this baby. I have to use this one. Now I don't know if this is, it's like very cracked and old. I don't think it's a water, or I don't think it's a oil painting brush, but it's fine. It's a little smaller than this one. We're gonna have to try it. If I just go like this. Just take the paint off of here. Oh, there's a net. Ugh. Okay. I need one of those things where you can like rest your arm. I don't have that. My makeshift one. I have this big ruler. This really big ruler. Maybe this will. How do they even do it? These are darker. It's almost like blue. Okay, it's very dark, but I think that's what I need. It just looks weird. I just gotta fill everything else in. Okay. I didn't even need this. I was holding it there the whole time. I used it for like a second.
The winner of Portrait Artist of the Year is...
Oh, it's a really good angle of me. So let's talk about the background of this painting. Kind of like what I was talking about earlier, I end up covering up most of the stuff I did with acrylic, and I was kind of struggling with the background, but I feel like I always struggle with backgrounds of paintings. It's just something that I'm still trying to figure out. I think it's because I didn't really like seriously start painting until like my freshman year of college. Like I was always like a graphite like pencil girl, or like I did a little watercolor here and there. But I was never like really into painting until college, and it didn't start out well. Like maybe I'll show it in another video, but like some of my early paintings and portraits are like not pretty. Like they're not cute. But obviously I love painting now. But anyway, I just feel like I've always struggled with backgrounds, even in drawings too. It's like I think I'm just so interested in like the figure and like whatever the main focus is of the painting. I'm always so interested in that, and I know exactly how I want that to look, and so it's kind of like the background's like meh, like I don't really know what to do. And I think I've talked about this in another video on here, but something, I don't remember if someone told me this or if I just like made it up myself, I'm not sure. If I'm struggling with a background, to just make it like an ugly color. And I don't know why I've been like, I kind of do my backgrounds with that in mind. It's probably not like the best way to do backgrounds. Like I should be like planning it more and like figuring out how I want it to look with like the composition and everything, because it is important, like the space that you're putting the figure in, like it adds to like the meaning of the piece and like the feeling and like the colors and values and everything. But it's just something I always struggle with, so I'm still working on that. But so for this painting, I had done that really bright background and I was just not really feeling it. Like after I finished the figure, I really loved how the figure came out. In the bright background, it was okay, but I think I just wanted more. Like I wanted it to be like layered and like I wanted it to mimic kind of like the feeling that I have when I struggle with my OCD, like just like thoughts and layers of things where it's like, it's almost like unreadable or like you can't really tell what's going on. And so the background is just a whole experiment and I was having fun. I added these like really shiny like pieces of washi tape on the painting and I really liked how that looked. And so I had an idea, instead of covering the whole background with this new like gross layer of paint, I thought I would put tape on the background and then paint over it, and then I could like reveal it at the end and it would be like there would be spots where it was still that bright color shining through, which is kind of how it ends up looking in the final piece. I'm not really sure how I feel about it honestly, but it's definitely interesting. I experimented with the background a lot, which, you know, I'm proud of myself for doing that because I could have just gone with like a plain color, but that's boring. And so yeah, you can see me here just putting on pieces of tape and then I'm painting over it, covering it up. This part was really fun where I was taking the tape off and kind of like revealing what was underneath. I think it definitely added some like dimension and interest and it added some complexity to the painting. Once again, I'm not really sure how I feel about the whole thing, but you know, this is still me just kind of messing around, and you'll see in a little bit here I used like a scraper to scrape off some paint because it was kind of like I wanted more of the background, the original background, to show through. And then I got an idea of how to finish the background. So the whole time when I was doing this painting, I kind of was going for the vibe of like chaos, which I've already talked about, but also kind of like dissociation and like, for me, for whatever reason, sometimes that looks like bright colors and like almost like a psychedelic, like trippy vibe. I try to do that in some of my paintings too, because I feel like, I don't know, I feel like it represents my struggle with mental illness pretty well. And also the way that I try to cope with it a little bit. And so I had this idea of putting like washi tape in the background to make like a pattern of squares. And then I would fill in the squares with like a bunch of different colors. So that's basically how I ended up finishing the background. It's kind of funny because like at first I put on like every single individual piece of tape, and then I like take off every single individual piece of tape, and then I realize at some point, which you'll see, like I could just take the whole thing off and then like reuse it, which, you know what, it's okay, like hindsight's 2020, like I figured it out in the end, it's fine. But yeah, so this is how I ended the piece, and I'll just let you keep watching and I'll see you at the end. are you? I'm scared. This is a very close up of my face. Don't look too hard. There's pimples. Oh god.
Interest in hunting humans for sport. Oh! Back up at Los
That's good.
Angeles.
That's good.
Sometimes it takes a different approach to imagine your future differently.
I love painting so much. I just want to say that. Okay, let's get the. I don't like the ad in the background's kind of ruining the mood. But like, I love painting.
A real killer.
Okay, don't listen to the back. Okay, let's. I love painting so much. What if I eat the? Let's not do that. Let's stop.
No, we can't.
Worked up. Damn.
No one's gonna be a cheater.
Alrighty.
So glad I'm
Wait, it's not cheating.
It's thundering.
Farts, I was exploding last night alone in my bed.
I also love thunder. Like, it's kind of scary, but it's also like relaxing. I know that's like a really controversial take, but like, I kind of like thunder. Like, I know that's really controversial and no one else thinks that.
I feel like this thumb is a little off, but I don't have the energy to fix it. I feel like it's fine, you know? Like, I'm realizing now that the angle is off. Like, it needs to be more this way, but like, oh, do I want to? Do I want to do that? Do I care that much? I don't know. I don't remember. Did I trace this or did I draw it? I'm kind of forgetting. I think I traced it, yeah.
We need to go in with black and like clean up some of the shit. I'm kidding. It's not shit.
This is a fun round.
Oh my god. That person has OCD. They're like, if I don't see my friends, they disappear.
Yeah.
So they don't have object permanence?
That's what it is. Just like,
Wow.
That's why I'm so good at driving. You just sort of let go.
Or an extra pickle.
Oh, that's fact.
so wholesome.
That's so cute.
I've been talking to the camera. It's not even on.
It's like being sort of immersed in.
That's embarrassing.
It's what I am in life anyway.
Just kidding. It's fine. Is this a good view of me? Like really up close. Hey. This is one of those paintings where I feel like I could just like work on it forever and like keep refining it. So, but like it is due for the competition in like 6 days, so like I can't work on it forever, unfortunately. Maybe that's a good thing, you know.
It's really nice choices, and the colors are gorgeous.
Alright, so this is kind of the end of the process of this painting. I'll show you the finished product because I took like a nicer picture of it. And I know I didn't really talk about the contest that SLU held, except for in the very beginning. But I wanted this video to be more about the actual painting process. And unfortunately, I didn't win any of like the places or honorable mentions for the contest, which I'm totally fine with. So I thought I would leave you with this TikTok to summarize my feelings about everything.
A win is a win. A win is a win. I don't care what y'all say.